All right, I got my coffee and I'm in a new setup, I guess I want to call it. I live in an apartment, um, noisy neighbors, that kind of stuff. We kind of have a spare room now that's open. Long story, not gonna go into it, but kind of have a spare room, so I'm gonna turn that into like my studio, I guess. So hopefully, and I was trying to record this with like headphones with a microphone, and I just don't like it because I can't really hear myself. I can't. Um, yeah, I feel like I don't know how loud I'm talking. I'm talking too quiet, too loud. So I'm probably going to invest in a microphone. I found a cool one on Amazon, just like a good basic beginner one. You just plug it into your USB port and it cuts out the background noise and that kind of stuff. There's a technical term for it, but I don't remember. So yeah, so hopefully the audio and the everything's okay. It doesn't sound like I'm far away. I'm just using my um, microphone, my speakers on my laptop. So hopefully the audio quality is good. So welcome to episode 5 of the podcast Ghosts, Demons and Murder. Oh my. My name is Hayden Crook, and I will be your host for today's episode on the bizarre case of Brenda Heist. Source one is Missing Brenda Heist. It's posted on WordPress. It's still active today. I will be posting that in the episode notes, info description, whatever you want to call it. So you can go and check that out if you want. I think it's interesting that it's still up today. And after I kind of dive into this case and we talk more about it, you'll understand why I said it doesn't really make sense that it's still active today. So source one, the official website for Brenda Heist, her missing persons page says on February 8th, 2002, Brenda Heist took her children to school. Her car was last seen by neighbors parked in front of her Lidditz home at around 8:30 that morning. Brenda's husband said he spoke to her by phone from his workplace in Valley Forge just before lunchtime. There was no indication that anything was wrong. Brenda and her husband were planning to divorce. She had taken 2 days off from her job as a bookkeeper for a county car dealer to look for a new home for her and the two children. When the children returned home from school that afternoon, they found the house empty. They phoned their father several times that afternoon. He left his office a little after 5 p.m., came home, and called the police. Brenda's car was gone from the driveway. There were no signs of a struggle. Initially, it was thought that she had taken off on her own. 4 days after she disappeared, Brenda's company car, a white 1998 Mercury Mystique, was found legally parked in a parking spot in the 100 block of North George Street in York. The keys were not in the car, and there was no damage or any indication that there was something wrong with the car. It was found very close to a bus station, but police have checked bus and airline schedules but could find no bookings for Brenda. Brenda was known to be a very dedicated mother who would not have left her children for any length of time, and there was no reason for her to have gone to York. Quick side note, did some research. York, where she went to look at a new home for her and her kids. It's 31 miles west of Lidditz, where she originally, like her, I guess her hometown. So yeah, about 31 miles west. So it's pretty close by, not too far of a drive. Source two is a news station, WKRG News 5. Said, and this I picked this source because it went into gave more detail. I feel like the first source, the official missing persons page, kind of, how do I want to word it? Kind of, it didn't really give a lot of detail as much as this one does. And yeah, I feel like it's good to like know like the background of stuff and provide like a lot of details and stuff in missing persons cases like this. I feel like it's good to kind of review all the facts, all the details, and give those out. So that's why I liked this second source, this news station, a lot better. Says it was the morning of February 8th, 2002. Brenda Heist, a mother to a 12-year-old son and 8-year-old daughter, had just dropped her kids off at school. At the time Brenda went missing, she and her husband Lee Heist were going through a divorce. According to a website made to help find Brenda, which is the first source we discussed, she had taken a few days off from her job to look at housing complexes. When the children got home from school that day, they realized the house was empty and their mom was nowhere to be found. Dinner had been set out to defrost and the laundry was half done. The kids called their dad, who then called the police to file a missing person report. 4 days after the report was filed, Brenda's car was found in a parking lot near a bus station in a neighboring county. Over the years, Lee was one of the suspects in the case. However, he passed a polygraph test and was ultimately cleared. At one point, a cold case unit was created to investigate the case. In 2011, Lee had Brenda declared legally dead. Just a quick side note on this before we continue. And another reason I chose this source is because in the missing persons page, it made it sound like the husband didn't really care. Like obviously, yeah, they're going through divorce, but it made it sound like the kids were home alone for a long period of time. They were trying to get a hold of their dad. He wasn't picking up, and then he finally checked his phone or was able to get to them by 5 o'clock that night. But this news article, it says that the kids called their dad. They did get a hold of him, and that he did file a missing persons report. I feel like this news article gave more details, and I feel like that source, the first source, the missing persons page, kind of tried to paint the husband in a bad light, maybe. And with most missing person cases and murder cases involving women, like 9 times out of 10, it usually is the husband. But I think when like writing articles and researching, doing stuff, it's kind of nice. It's better to be transparent and kind of get as much facts, details, kind of see all the sides of the story instead of just stereotyping, jumping to conclusions. And again, that's why I included this one, because I feel like the missing persons page kind of painted the husband in a bad light, and this one gave more details, like that 4 days later her car was found after the missing persons report was filed, which means everybody knew that she was going to look at houses apparently, but nobody checked in or called, or it doesn't say if they did, but I'm just assuming that it's just bizarre. It's like there's no reports of anybody calling to check in on her after she didn't show up and whatnot. It's just very interesting. It's like the kids and the husband were the only one, but then it sounds like her work and maybe friends and other people knew her plans for the day, and just it's very bizarre. Sorry if I went too much on a tangent, but hopefully it's coherent, makes sense. So we'll continue. So 2011, the husband had Brenda declared legally dead. But in April 2013, the family got a call they were never expecting to get. Brenda had been found alive. According to reports, Brenda went to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and turned herself in on some outstanding warrants. She then informed deputies that she was a missing person. Deputies said she told them she was tired of running. She had spent most of the time living in a trailer with a man and doing odd jobs like cleaning homes. For the last 2 years, she was in Florida. She lived in a homeless shelter where she said she had to scavenge for food. During the 11 years she had been missing, she used a fake name, and under that name, she had warrants out for many crimes. Brenda told detectives she had gone to a park on that February day to relieve some stress. While sitting on a bench crying, 2 women and a man befriended her and convinced her to join them while they were going to hitchhike to Florida. She decided to go and parked her car in the parking lot near the bus station. So, another quick side note, sounds like Brenda here kind of pulled a Gone Girl. If you've seen that movie, you'll get it. If not, I'm not going to explain it, but Brenda pulled a Gone Girl. Yeah. So, although Brenda was home safe, her family was angry. Her ex husband said their children were not interested in talking with her because he was viewed as a possible suspect. People would not let their children be friends with his friends. It is unknown now if the family members have reunited. Brenda was eventually put in jail for probation violations out of the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. Her alias, Kelsey Smith, is still listed as Brenda's name in the Santa Rosa County jail log, which makes me wonder if that day at the park, bus station, whatever, if this lady already had a fake ID and stuff ready to go, and just these people just kind of solidified that idea in her head. I'm not sure. That would be interesting to find out. Okay. Source 3, the Daytona Beach News Journal. So it says the 11 years in between are a confusing pastiche of aliases, petty crimes, panhandling, trailer parks, common law marriage, sleeping under bridges, and even working as a housekeeper. It unfolded up and down the Florida peninsula, but largely on that half mythic island at the bottom. You can read the cost of Heist's journey by gazing on the before and after pictures. And I don't know how to include those. I would if I could. Um, the former showing a middle aged mom wearing lipstick and a posed smile, and the latter showing a gaunt, hollow eyed wraith with stringy blonde hair and no eyebrows. It requires an effort of will to realize that they are the same woman, but the cost of Heist's escape is not just seen on her face, it is also seen in the ruins of her relationships. Ex husband Lee, who lived a while under suspicion of murdering her, and who may be tapped to repay the reported 100,000 payout on her life insurance policy because she was legally declared dead a few years back, has said he sees no purpose in talking with her. Her now adult daughter Morgan posted on Twitter that she hopes her mother, quote, rots in hell. We'll probably never know. She may not truly know if any of this is what caused Heist to break. All we know is that something did, and when it did, when she wound up weeping in that park, she responded by reaching out for the daydream. There's something pathetic about that, something instructive too. See, you can run to Key West, you can sail down to Tolhuin, a tiny village near the tip of South America. You can even trek across Antarctica and come up the other side of the globe. Doesn't matter, because as Brenda Heist's bill for damage comes due, one thing about running away from life seems painfully clear: life always catches up. Pitts is a columnist for the Miami Herald. That was that was a local Florida newspaper writer. He wrote all that. He used very descriptive words and such. I thought it was very interesting. So we're going to focus on the aftermath of Brenda Heist's actions and how this. We talked a little bit about it, but we're going to go more in depth about how it affected friends, family, that kind of stuff. Source 4 is Lancaster Online. Says Heist got a birthday present of sorts when she was released from Santa Rosa County Jail on November 19th, a day after her 54th birthday. According to Florida court records, she is hoping for a reunion with her children, both now young adults, whose childhoods she largely missed. She is also hoping for some help from Dr. Phil McGraw, also known as Dr. Phil, the popular self-help psychologist who hosted Heist on his television show last spring and promised he would provide her with counseling when she got out of jail. After being released, Heist went to Texas to live with her mother. Several people who have had contact with her said Thursday. Texas also is the home of a mental health treatment center run by Dr. Frank Lawless, a frequent guest on McGraw's show, who also promised he would help Heist. A friend of Heist said that help can't come soon enough. A month ago, Heist was sounding lost and fragile, crying through a half-hour phone call with Carolyn Walsh, a Chester County nurse who was a friend and fellow churchgoer of Heist's back in the late 80s and early 90s, when the Heists lived in Pomeroy. Her hope is that she can get help, Walsh said. She wants help to back on her feet mentally and get restarted and try to forgive herself for what she did, and she wants reconciliation with her kids. Walsh said she tried to encourage Heist. I said, look, kid, you gotta hang on to hope. You have to hang on to hope, Walsh said. Lee Heist III, Heist's former husband, who had remarried and now lives in Montgomery County, said that Heist wrote a short note to the couple's daughter, Morgan, now 19, after her release from jail. Lee Heist said he did not see the note, but said that he understands that his former wife did not ask to see the children, who include a son, Lee Heist IV, now 23. The children are not ready for that yet anyway, Lee Heist said. Not right now, he said, but added, that's up to the kids. Walsh said Heist isn't ready for a meeting yet either, hoping she can get some mental health treatment first, Walsh said. Heist most likely will get treatment at the Lawless PV P&P Center in Lewisville, Texas, about 200 miles north of Brenham. The center offers diagnosis and treatment plans for people with problems ranging from depression to PTSD, according to its website. The Liddittsboro police detective who spent years investigating Heist's disappearance said he hopes Heist now can try to put some of the pieces of her life back together. Detective Sergeant John Schofield said Heist's two children had expressed the wish at some point to meet with her, but it might be more to demonstrate their resilience in the wake of her disappearance. They want to show the mom how they're able to grow up and become successful in spite of her and what she did, he said. That was the wish Morgan Heist expressed in an interview published in the January issue of Glamour magazine. The young woman who now attends Montgomery County Community College and works 3 jobs told Glamour that she was angry after she learned of her mother's second life in Florida and isn't seeking a heartfelt reunion. I'm hoping she can look me in the eye and tell me what really happened, she said in the interview. Heist said she left her family because she snapped while facing an impending divorce, a sentiment she maintained in an interview while still in jail with Glamour. I don't know how to explain it, she told the magazine. I thought my family would be better off without me. 11 years after she disappeared, Heist turned up in Key Largo, Florida in April. She turned herself into police, saying she had hitchhiked to the state on a whim and had been living as a homeless person, scrounging food and living under bridges. It turned out, however, there was more to her story than that. Heist had assumed a false identity, living as Kelsey Lovey Smith and adopting the beach bum lifestyle. A friend and former employer gave Heist the nickname Lovey because Heist's Florida boyfriend dressed like he was wealthy and reminded the friend of Thurston Howell III from the TV show Gilligan's Island. Howell's wife on the show was Lovey. Interesting. The nickname and the assumed identity stuck. In fact, the Florida court system still has Heist listed under her assumed name in the document releasing her from jail. During her time in Florida, Heist stole our housekeeper client's driver's license and also was charged with marijuana and traffic violations. She was jailed for a parole violation in relation to the stolen driver's license charge. Shortly after her reappearance and subsequent arrest, a rail-thin and haggard-looking Heist appeared on the Dr. Phil show in an orange jail jumpsuit to talk about her story and apologize for her deeds. During that appearance, Heist's mother surprised her daughter by walking in on the interview. Jean Copenhaver, who was stunned and elated to learn her daughter was alive, said she loved her daughter and wanted to help her heal. I can't wait to get her home, Copenhaver, who lives in Brenham, Texas, said at the time. Copenhaver does not have a listed number. Heist served only 6 months of a year-long sentence for her parole violation due to good behavior and her participation in a work release program, said Deputy Rich Alloy of the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Department. Her contact with the Florida court system is now completed, he said. Source 5, NBC Philadelphia 10. The teenage daughter of a woman who just revealed she abandoned her family 11 years ago said Thursday the disclosure had angered her, and she is now eager to restart the relationship. Morgan Heist, who learned last week Brenda Heist had surfaced in the Florida Keys, said the news has made her recall with bitterness the years of mourning she endured when she assumed her mother was dead and feared she'd been murdered. I ached every birthday, every Christmas, said 19-year-old Morgan Heist, a freshman at a community college outside Philadelphia. My heart just ached. I wasn't mad at her. I wanted her to be there because I thought something had happened to her. I wish I had never cried. Source 6, Reddit. And this is initially how I found this case, was through Reddit. That's how I find a lot of my stuff I want to talk about on here. The user is Zealous Ideal Mood 552. They said, I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, only 10 miles from where she lived. And I remember this being a big local case at the time. For the 11 years that Heist was missing, there was a lot of suspicion that she had gotten involved with sketchy people to help with the financial situation resulting from the divorce, and that they either betrayed her or she was unable to meet their demands, so they murdered her. She was eventually found in Key Largo, Florida, and had been cleaning homes and doing other odd jobs under the alias Lovey Smith. Most people around here, including L.E., don't buy her story about being approached by and running off with three strangers. Her car was found abandoned near a bus station, so it's most likely that she purchased a ticket with cash and headed south and became one of the rare documented cases of an adult running away to start a new life. And honestly, like I said earlier, I kind of think that's what she did. I think she might have already had a fake name or just had stuff ready, kind of had a plan ready, and she pulled a Gone Girl and just vanished. So that's what I think too. All right. So I think we can all agree that Brenda Heist had a mental breakdown. Life is tough for everyone, but this does not justify or excuse her actions. She still had a responsibility to care for her children. Also, if she was truly happier in Florida than being back home, then she wouldn't have racked up quite the criminal record. As we can see, she did a lot of crime, petty thefts. I mean, is it really better being homeless and being a criminal and stealing stuff than just getting a divorce? And I don't know. My parents divorced when I was young. It was tough. I just don't think all this is excusable. Like, I understand she probably had a lot going on, but I just don't feel like it was very. I don't think that's like a good excuse for her to do what she did. She practically abandoned her kids too. I understand the divorce thing, but I don't. I honestly feel bad for the kids as a product of divorced parents. I feel for those kids, and what they went through and all that trauma and all that all that stuff. So I do feel bad for them, the kids mostly. Um, I also think it's ironic that the missing person site for Brenda Heist claimed that, quote, Brenda was known to be a very dedicated mother who would not have left her children for any length of time, end quote. In the words of Mari, the lie detector determined that that was a lie. This is a very bizarre case, and I do feel a little bad for her ex-husband and her children because they suffered the most of her actions. I'm going to include the link to the missing persons page for Brenda Heist because it is still active as of today, which, like I said, I thought was interesting. I said at the beginning of the episode, and now you know why I think it's interesting. Like, the case is solved, and it's just weird. It's still up to the page. Like, I don't know if it's for sympathy or what. And just another quick side note before we wrap up. I don't know, like, most people that go on Dr. Phil, I feel it's for like publicity and money. It's kind of like a stunt, kind of to put on a show. So I think she kind of did that too. Like, went to Doctor or just got in with the Dr. Phil group, the Dr. Phil crowd, to kind of get sympathy, maybe, and money and support. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on in this lady's head. I just think it's a really bizarre situation, a bizarre case. She just seems kind of off. I don't know. But like I said, I feel bad for the kids the most. Feel bad a little bit for the husband if he has to pay all that money back for the death claim and that stuff. But I guess we'll see. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Ghosts, Demons, and Murder. Oh my. Next time, we'll be discussing the legend of Krampus. Since the holidays are right around the corner, I'm finished with college courses this semester. I'm going to have Christmas break, winter break in a couple weeks. So we're going to do some fun, creepy, spooky holiday stuff. So look forward to that. thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.